Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge wieso möchte ich immer Pathfinder sagen? Chaos hat Noah? Ja, okay. Ich wollte nur mal sicher gehen, aber dass er richtig das Bild auch hat. Ja. Wir haben ja in der letzten Folge festgestellt, dass Suva böse ist. Was nicht so optimal für Bahn ausgegangen ist. Höchstwahrscheinlich. Und ja, Grim ist dann Tag wohl jetzt ein bisschen durch, könnte man so behaupten. Da ich das immer wieder das gleiche schreibt. Okay. After all this time, only now you become Juni. Are you are rejected by an IRL girl? In that case, I've got some good news for you. What the fuck? If you stay a virgin till 30. Oh, Scheiße. Alter, ey. Das zieht sich aber ganz schön. You become a wizard. Komm. That's a pro tip. Boah, ey. Grim ist mal sehr hilfreich gerade. Speaking of pro tips. Apparently there's gonna be a festival in about an hour. Alter, ey. It will be at Shibuya Scramble Crossing. Komm. Jesus, you're annoying, what the fuck, lol. Well, if that's what you want, you should go. You're a celebrity, so you will be the center of attention. Maybe you can get someone there to kill us. To kill you. Warte mal. Woher weiß Grim, wer Neidhart ist? Turning off my PC monitor, act my knees with my arms.
僕を殺してよ。誰か。
Okay, someone please kill me.
鬼ってば
In my hand was Zaratan, my one and only ally.
おーい開け
Perhaps because I had been holding her in my sweaty hands for a while. Her slender limbs were all sticky. And not only that, but her arms had been
ろ
bent.
開けろ
Deine... That voice. It couldn't be. How?
バカ鬼
There was no way I admitted that. Out of every girl that visited my base, there was only one dump ass that would scream outside of it like that. Nanami was here. I was somewhat surprised at how indifferent I felt in response to that fact. I just didn't care. What would her coming here while I was this far gone even do for me? Besides, it wasn't like it was out of the ordinary for Nanami to come here. Yumi said that she was going to rescue her
開
anyway.
けないとひどいんだ
Okay, sorry. Der hat mich gekriegt. The noise was starting to irritate me. Just leave a monster like me alone. Nanami should have been focused on her right hand, not me. Not that I knew what had happened to it. I didn't have it in me to talk to anyone anymore.
おに
But she was being too loud, so I was forced to get up from my chair and head to the door. The door seemed oh so far away to me, which made me realize I was scared to see her.
Ah, やっと出てきた。
Oh, ich habe da gerade eine Errungenschaft bekommen. Oh, there you are.
生存確認。
As I opened the door, Nanami smiled and waved at me. I froze in place. She was acting way too normal. She was acting way too energetic. I had seen it, a white bandage wrapped around her right wrist, so why? I then remembered the phone call I'd gotten a few hours earlier. The pain voice asking me to give her right hand back. And now the smile she had right now. And the bandage around her right wrist. Contradicted each other. Nanami was contradicting herself. Oh, I see. She was also a delusion. She had to be. I had never had a little sister named Nanami to begin with. I got it now. That had to be it. After ignoring her and heading back into my room, I sat down on the sofa. I once again took hold of my Seratin figure and gripped her tight, so tight in fact that my hand hurt slightly. But it didn't matter because that pain too was a delusion.
お兄、どうしたの？元気ないじゃん。
Everything in this world was made up of delusions. Delusions developed only within my mind. Both me and this delusion I was looking at were fake.
徹夜でゲームでもやってたの？もっと人間らしい生活したら？え、なになに？
黙れ。
ちょっと、そんな言い方しなくてもいいじゃん。お兄だからって何言っても許されるとか思ってる？
黙れよ。妄想妹が。
妄想？
I surrendered my body to the sofa and looked up at the ceiling. With no particular goal in mind, I started counting the rusty spots. I didn't want to look at Nanami. I would only feel empty if I did. Well, not that I cared about whether I felt empty or not, given I was just a delusionary existence.
ねえお兄、本当に平気？いつもと全然様子が違うけど。
Der Typ ist nicht gerade okay. Der Typ, der hat herausgefunden, dass er eigentlich gar nicht existiert. Kann einem ein bisschen fertig machen, würde ich behaupten. Worrying about me like a good little sister, huh? My delusional sister was worried about me. The fact alone filled me with anger. Besides, who was she to have come in my room like she owns the place?
あ、わかった。お腹空いたんでしょう。
I gritted my teeth.
だったら、ナナが何か作ろうか？
取れ。
ん？鳥って言った？鶏肉？
No one said a thing about takeout.
鶏肉だと、やっぱ唐揚げかな。でも一人で作ったことないし。あ、別にお兄のリクエストがあったから作るわけじゃないからね。ナナも今日は鶏肉で何か作りたいなって思ってただけだよ。
This Nanami was really annoying. The fact that she was so similar to the real one wasn't something I could ignore. Wait, huh? Did a real Nanami even exist in the first place? Then what was this Nanami? The real Nanami? My head became a mess. So I stopped thinking. I didn't care anymore. At the end of the day, everything was a delusion.
包帯取れ。取ってみろ。ボケが。
包帯って、あ、これ転んで打撲しただけだし。
Just a fall. Was it true? Or was she lying? I wouldn't know if she took it off.
ほんと、わがままなお兄だな。じゃあ約束してよ。 ナナが包帯取って見せたらお兄も元気出すって。
The sound of rustling clothes rang throughout the quiet room, followed by a ringing in my ears. My head hurt. These too were delusions, though, so I paid them no mind.
はい、これで満足って。ちょっとお兄、わざわざ取ったんだからちゃんと見てよ。
I sluggishly lowered my gaze. Naomi had rolled up her uniform sleeve, and she was now sticking her right hand out toward me. And when I looked in at her slender arm, I saw... Oh. Jesus girl. Dripping blood. Bloody words had been cut into her arm, and they said...
その目、誰の目？
My vision flashed, and when it passed just like that, the terrifying wound on her arm was gone. I'd been hyperventilating, so I moved to catch my breath. I forcefully bit my lip. Nanami was wearing the arm she had taken the bandage off.
青技、だいぶ消えてくれたな。最初はすごく腫れてたんだよ。
I didn't know whether that was the truth or not. Sure, there wasn't a wound there, but there had to been before. I didn't understand anything anymore. I didn't want to think anymore. I once again laid my head on the sofa.
ねえ、ナナミ。
Without meeting her eyes, I called out to my sister or the girl whose identity I wasn't sure of.
お前が本物でも偽物でもどっちでもいいよ。
Right now, I only wanted one thing.
僕を殺してくれないか。
Oof. At the front entrance to AH Tokyo General Hospital, Kusunoki Yua fixed her gaze beyond the automatic door. Having been told by Ben to get out of here now, she had reluctantly complied and went outside. However, in her worry, she could not bring herself to go any further. Ben had followed the mysterious figure and vanished up the hospital stairs. It had not even been 3 minutes since then, but hoping that Ben had already returned, Yua peeked into the lobby. This was after Ben had headed into the hospital alone. Yua had ignored Momose's orders and had followed after him. Also she could get one step closer to the truth behind her little sister's death and the true perpetrator. The person that had told Ben to back off over the phone and had abducted Ben Jr., someone who must have been named Suva-san, was most likely the same one that had killed her sister Mia. That was the feeling Yua had, and as such, she had been unable to hold back her impulsive emotions. Despite Ben's various warnings about the dangers of involving herself with this case, Yua had come nonetheless. Moreover, it was not as though Yua would be able to achieve anything by coming here. She was nothing more than a powerless high schooler after all. Somewhere in her mind, Yua hoped that Ban would simply come running gallantly back after apprehending the culprit. If that happened, she would have the opportunity to question them directly. Why did my sister have to die? That was the one thing you had to ask. Suddenly Yua felt a gaze upon her. She nervously scanned her surroundings. It had not even been 2 hours since the sun had set. Yet oddly enough, the hospital's front entrance was eerily quiet. Right next to her, it was the urgent care entrance, which also served as the entrance for emergencies. And yet not even there housed any signs of human presence. A train gently ran along its tracks beside the hospital. Hardly any cars passed by. The large street in front of it, and there was nary a single passerby. Housed between the sleepless cities of Shibuya and Shinjuku, where Yua was now, was akin to an abyss of darkness, formed in the interstices of 2 bursts of blinding light. No figure that could conceivably be responsible for the gas was visible. Holding back her anxiety, Yua placed her hand on her chest and let out a small sigh. Following this, she found herself glancing over at the hospital ward. There, at the entrance to the hospital ward, stood a single girl. The lights were out, rendering the area very dimly lit, and yet the girl's figure was clearly visible amidst the darkness.
みやちゃん。
Without intending to, Yura whispered that name. Her sense of reason told her it was impossible, but nonetheless, she could not keep those words from escaping. The girl was a mirror image of her, a mirror image of her twin sister that was no longer of this world. Moreover, you recognized the clothes she was wearing. She knew almost for a fact that they were her sister's clothes. The possibility of her perhaps being a ghost filled you with fear. Fear that made her hair stand on end. Suddenly the girl turned and headed for the automatic door marking the entrance to the hospital ward. The moment she grew close enough, the door quietly slid open. It isn't a ghost. Yura was in shock, but before she could register anything more, she promptly ran after the girl and into the hospital ward. Inside, perhaps due to it being past closing time, it was even quieter than outside. Each time Yura took a step forward, her footsteps echoed forth into the depths of the corridor. It had been just the same in the outpatient ward, but the fact that it was even quieter here made her very uneasy. The girl had disappeared up the stairs. Yura heard the faint sound of laughter coming from her head. It's like a scene straight from a ghost story. With that on her mind, Yura cautiously made her way up the stairs step by step. She arrived on the second floor. Glancing around the corridor, she did not see anyone, something she had expected. But just as she was suspecting that it may have been a mere illusion, a girl's laughter sounded from the floor above. That voice and the sound of its laughter were identical to what you had heard time and time again in the past. Climbing to the third floor and looking down in the corridor, you saw a girl with the same face as her, standing there. One of the victims of the first New Gen case, the group dive, her little sister, who should have died 2 months ago. Kusunoki Miya was stood right there with an unmistakable sense of presence.
So.
You removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. However, even after putting her glasses back on, she looked to see that Miya was still there.
みやちゃんなの？どう思う？
A voice so clear it could never be an illusion. And that intrepid smile on her face, that laughter in the air. It was exactly the same as you remembered from her sister. Miya had always acted this very same way in order for her to be the wrongdoer in the eyes of others. She had laughed like that all the time.
みやちゃん。本当に私がミヤであなたがユアだと思う？どういうこと？もし逆だったら、あなたはミヤ、死んだのはユア、殺したのはあなた。何を言っているの？あなたは親に愛される姉が疎ましくてネットで殺人を依頼したのよ。しかも自殺に見せかけるように見ず知らずの4人も一緒に飛び降りさせた。あなたは姉になりすまして妹の死を悲しみ、涙を流しているふりをしながら、これまで姉が独占していた親の愛を手に入れて、心の中では北総エンド。違うわ。私はユアよ。誰がそれを証明するの？私はユアのはず。でも確信が持てない。私を私だと証明するものって、顔？名前？記憶？自分のことなのに。自分で自分を証明するなんて不可能よ。私がミヤだっていう可能性も。あなたはいろいろと調べていたじゃない。多重人格、無遊病、記憶捏造、それから Also,
The concept you herself had been looking into prior to now showed just how real the ambiguity of memories, or perhaps recollections, truly was. She didn't know nor understand herself anymore. What was she? Yor cradled her head as she shook it in denial.
あなたは誰？
Was she Yor, who had always played the good child and was automatically loved and cherished by her parents? Was she Mia, who had always played the bad child and was actively hated by her parents, the child who, despite her actions being her own, outcast her sister glares of jealousy and hatred?
さあ、私も。
Mia, or possibly Yor guided Yor, or possibly Mia as she walked down the corridor soundlessly.
私と同じ目に遭いなさい。
Yor and Mia, identically twins, faces a mirror image of one another, and the boundary that served to differentiate the two was growing more and more blurred. Two enormous boxes stood tall within the darkness, and yet compared to the nearby Shinjuku skyscrapers, they were akin to a small child looking up at their parents. The hospital roof that was where Yor found herself, having been led there by Mia, a section of the towering fence that fence had been torn open just wide enough to allow a person to fit through it. Whether this was an intentional effort, none could say. Mia and Yor, after moving through the torn section to the outer side of the fence, both now stood at the edge of the roof. Before them, the outpatient ward, as that location was lower than the hospital ward. The entire breadth of the roof garden was visible to them. However, the lights were still turned off, so even if there were people there, Yor would be unable to know. The wind blew strongly on the rooftop. The gale made Yor and Mia's soft hair flutter along with the hems of their clothes.
私たちはもともと一つだったんだ。また戻るだけ。一歩を踏み出せば、あなたは私になる。
Yor, her eyes vacant of all light, mechanically whispered those emotionless words. Spreading her arms to maintain her balance, she endured the upward rising wind. Beside her, Mia, arms spread just as Yor's were, looked at her sister and smiled.
耐える必要なんてないよ。
Die Augen, ey.
あなたは私の痛みを知らなくちゃならない。さあ、飛んで。そうすれば、私もあなたも同じ痛みを共有するわ。私はどっちなの？それを聞いても意味はないわ。どっちにしたって。あなたは飛ぶ。
All hesitation left within Yor disappeared. And so, moving her foot forward, she... A gunshot tore through the dark night. And with a start, Yor came to her senses, realizing where she was. She let out a frightful scream. The sheer height of the where she stood immediately disoriented her, making her lose her balance. Oh, she very near... Oh, verdammt, Heuschnupfen, ey. Gerade ist das echt übel. She very nearly fell, but in her desperation, she shot her hand towards the fence behind her and grabbed onto it. Because of this, she successfully managed to avoid being met with a terrible fate. The gunshot had come from the roof of the outpatient ward, leading her to look at it once more. In the circular clearing on the roof garden, she managed to spot multiple figures. There were two of them. One was on the ground and the other stood beside them. Had the detective shot someone, or had the detective been shot by someone?
何をしてるの？どうして私と同じ痛みを味わおうとしないの？そんなの卑怯よ。ずるいわ。みやちゃん。違うわ。私はユアよ。ユアは 私
ミアはあなた。
あなたは一体何なの？
私はあなたの望んだもの。あなたは私の望んだもの。
Mia reached for her sister, placing her hands around Yua's neck. She began to strangle her. Yua felt a strong pressure on her throat. She could no longer breathe. Mia was no ghost. She definitely had a body of flesh and blood, and now she was strangling Yua with it.
お願い、死んでよ。今日ぐらい私のお願いを聞いて。いつも我慢してきたんだから。
Yua's vision grew crimson. She reached her hands out into the air in front of her, but found herself unable to grasp anything. I'm going to die. A rush with the most extreme dread, using her whole body, Yua called upon strength she did not even know she had as she tried desperately to break free from Mia's grasp. But Mia was too strong. Yua was unable to move her even a single inch. Even Yua's thoughts were dyed crimson. It felt as though her consciousness was being coated in a layer of vicious blood. In a desperate frenzy, she shook her head so violently her glasses fell from her face, and from that point onward, to an outside observing, Yua and Mia were no longer indistinguishable. It did not matter who killed whom. The result was arbitrary. If Yua died, all Mia would have to do was become Yua. If Mia died, all Yua would have to do was become Mia. Feelings of resignation steadily spread throughout Yua's heart. Before her eyes was Mia's, or possibly Yua's face. Leaping with anger, not wanting to see such a sight, she looked away. And what vaulted into a red field of view was the shrubbery and the flowers adorning the roof garden. Der See, da sieht man doch was. And her mind Yua felt that there was a shadow among those flowers, the likes of which she had never seen before. Though perhaps it was a simple illusion. Simply an illusion. She had dropped her glasses in the struggle after all. However, no longer able to breathe and suffering from so much pain, a faint sense of peace gradually rose within her. Despite her thoughts of simply surrendering herself and peacefully passing on, her instinctive desire not to die denied her of that peace. It made Yua extend her hand towards the dissipated. Her distance from the shore was about 2 meters. How she was now, there was no way she would reach it, even if she were to extend her hand. And yet, her fingertips touched something hard and cold. She then grasped it, almost completely unconscious. The second she did so, Kusanagi Yua's consciousness, right on the verge of fading, instantly became clear, as though the haze had been dispelled from her mind. There was an invisible yet fierce impact. Her sister, rained upon by showering red lights akin to petals, was blown away. Languidly standing up as she gasped for air, Yua looked at what she was holding and instantly doubted her eyes. It was a sword. All too sharp like all too elegant like the glasses one by one, all too sharp like the wit shown by the other. All too vigorous, all too immaculate. All too profound, its nature varied, all too delicate, its frame easy to fracture. And so beautiful, it beckoned tears from all who laid eyes upon it. And so beautiful, it beckoned tears from all who... yeah. The object now in her hand, it remained the Yua of Ayas' sword that she had seen at the overpass, and of the sword that Ben had spoken of Senna's.
今のは何？
Mia, after being blown away by the mysterious impact, had been buried in the shrubbery. As she held her head, she had freed herself from it and crawled back to her feet.
あなたは何をしたの？
私は
みやちゃん、私やっと分かったわ。どうしてここまで一生懸命あなたの死の真相を調べていたのか。私を殺そうとしたの？私はまた殺されるところだったの？また？結局私はあなたが怖かったのよ。当てつけに死なれたと思ったの。あなたが分からなかったの。あなたが死んだ理由は私のせいじゃないって証明して安心したかった。最低のお姉ちゃんね。どうして死んでくれないのよ。
She could no longer get through to her. The two selves, once together in the beginning, had now diverged completely, never to return to one again. Mia reached to grab her once more, reminded of the pain she had experienced before Yours trembles of dread returned, leading her to brandish her sword. It carved a sharp trail and then cut the ghost in half. Mia's movements came to a halt, and with a look of shock on her face, she traced the round of coke flesh with her hand, beginning from the left side of her torso and ending all the way at the right shoulder. No blood sprang forth.
ミヤちゃんは2ヶ月前に死にました。それならあなたは誰なんですか？
Countless particles, large enough to be seen by the naked eye, came flowing out from within Mia. Her body, now enveloped in bubbles, gradually collapsed to the ground as her shield had faded and faded. It was now transforming into something else. You, with feelings of incredulity, saw what it was. After a moment's wait, a man with an impressive large physique appeared in Mia's place. He was wearing a denim shirt, jeans, and a rucksack on his back. You had never seen the man before.
あなた誰？どうしてミヤちゃんの姿に？どうやって？
You are backed away in confusion, still holding her D-sword. The man was similarly bewildered. He had likely not predicted that he would have been uncovered, leaving him to act in a very clearly frantic manner.
お前こそなんでまさかこのガキギガロマニアックスか聞いてないぞくそどうしたら
And then, ignoring gravity itself, it came flying in its path almost horizontal. By the time the man looked behind him, it had already perforated the rucksack on his back. Also ich würde mal so behaupten, Ayase, weil Ayase ja auch im Krankenhaus ist. And from that same rucksack a pale flash of light surged. The man, as though he had just received an electric shock, stiffened up like a pole. His eyes shot open wide, and only a moment later he lost consciousness, falling face first to the ground. He foamed at the mouth, and every so often his body would twitch. The object that had pierced the rucksack, yup, Ayase, was a sword quite like the one you had obtained just a moment ago, with beautiful curves adorning its very edge.
これ
You remembered the sword. She had seen it once before. A single presence approached her. You raised her head. Someone then emerged from the darkness.
何事かと思ったらこんな騒ぎになっていたの。
岸本さん。
Without the change in her expression, Ayase glanced at the sword held in her hands. Held at the sword you held in her hands. Und ich würde sagen, an dem Punkt beende ich dann jetzt auch diese Folge. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.